Hello, everyone, and welcome to the pilot episode of the Lunchtable Sports Podcast. I am your host, Ben Likes Sports, Ben Houselog, whatever you want to refer to me as, I will gladly take it. And this is going to be a sports podcast that is not like any other sports podcast. And this is just a trial run, right? I don't even think I'm going to post this. I'm going to be real. I don't think I'm going to post this, but what I'm going to do is we're going to go through every single NFL game. We're going to talk about what it means, what we think it means, and anything in between, man. This isn't some regimented show. This is just me yapping in a spare bedroom in a condo. This might get a view. It might get 1 million views. Whatever it is, I probably won't check it. I'm going to upload this and forget about it. So without further ado, let's get into it. Obviously, we know Thursday Night Football, Falcons, Buccaneers, Kirk Cousins 509. And one thing is for certain, why are you taking the ball out of Baker Mayfield's hand? There should be serious consequences for whoever decided that, hey, you know our quarterback that is we just signed to a brand new deal, and our left tackle we just signed to a brand new deal? Let's leave it up to the running back. Let's leave it up to sustain drives instead of just score the ball. And that's exactly what the Buccaneers did. You play football like that, you deserve to lose. The Buccaneers deserve to lose that game. They had every right to step down on the Falcons and end it. They didn't. They let the Falcons hang around. And if you let the Falcons hang around, the Eagles, now the Buccaneers, now the Saints, if you let the Falcons hang around, they have shown in 3 games out of the 5 they've played this season, they will come back and beat you. Kirk Cousins is going to make mistakes, but he's going to make a lot more better plays than he's going to make mistakes. And that's what the Buccaneers saw, that if you let them hang around, they will hit you with a knockout punch. This is a team full of veterans, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They brought in Judon. They brought in Simmons. And veterans, especially ones from big-time cultures like Judon in New England, they know how to do one thing: win games, and that's what they have done. I'm not scared to say it. The Falcons are Super Bowl contenders after Week 5. Everyone's probably going to be talking about this if they're watching. Oh my gosh, that is a crazy take. That is ridiculous. They have a veteran quarterback. They have one of the best receivers in the NFL in Drake London. I stand by that. Darnell Mooney is playing like a dog. They have a great 2 running back rotation. And they have a defense that can bow up and be strong when they need it to be. What do you need to be good at come championship football? Answer this for me. Running the ball and playing good defense. The Falcons, now running the ball, but they have a quarterback who's played in cold games, which is a very underrated thing. Kirk Cousins has played in many cold games. He was in Minnesota. Obviously, they're in a dome, but he was playing other teams in the NFC North. You go to Lambeau, you go to Soldier Field. He was in the NFC East, playing for the Washington Commanders. You know, this is my first podcast. I don't want to say the old name and get an SUV pulling up outside my house at 2 a.m. That would scare me. But Kirk Cousins has shown time and time again throughout this season that he can win these games. He is going to be the comeback player of the year. I thought it was going to be Aaron Rodgers. We'll get to that in a second. But it's going to be Kirk Cousins. The Falcons are moving, and they gelled together a lot quicker than I thought they would. 509 passing yards. And it's not like it was all going to one guy. It wasn't like when Matt Ryan and Julio Jones set those records. Because if you remember that game, Matt Ryan had 500 yards. 300 of those were to Julio. Matt Ryan was slinging the rock to Kyle Pitts, to Drake London, to Darnell Mooney, to Kadero Hodge, to Tyler Algier. He's getting the rock around to everybody. Everybody eats in the Atlanta offense. And that is a scary thing because he can't just focus in on one guy. Because if he focuses in on one guy, a.k.a. Drake London, Darnell Mooney will hit you. If you focus on Drake London and Darnell Mooney, then finally, about time, Kyle Pitts will hit you. And if you put 6 DBs on the field to take away the passing game, Bijan Robinson is coming downhill. They are tough to guard. They are a very tough team to guard. And especially being in a defensive-heavy conference like the NFC South, you have the Saints, the Buccaneers, and you know, the Panthers, they try. They try their best. This is going to be a battle-tested team come playoff time. If everyone stays healthy, I don't know, man. Looks pretty scary for the league. Now, going into across the pond over in Britain, you had the Jets playing the Vikings. Now, this was a football game of all time. Now, forgive me. I was not at my best watching this game. I had just gotten up from a 4-hour slumber. 4 is being very nice. More like 2. After I watched the Cal and Miami game and had to put together my thoughts on that for the TikTok and the Instagram. You guys know how it goes. This game was the epitome of I'm trying to stay awake. There was not a lot of offense played in this game. Sam Darnold came back to earth. Aaron Rodgers, that may have been one of the worst games I've ever seen Aaron Rodgers play. 3 interceptions as the guy who is known for not throwing interceptions is ridiculous. I don't know if we are going to get the Aaron Rodgers that we thought we were going to get. He's looked the parts at some times. San Fran, a couple drives there, he looked great. Thursday Night Football, he looked great. Now it was against the Patriots, but you're seeing it. But then you're also seeing him not be able to move because of his Achilles. He's now banged up, and his O-line's not protecting him, so the Jets need to do one thing and one thing only. You have put all of these pieces around Aaron Rodgers to make Aaron Rodgers happy. You need to mortgage the entire future. You need to say either A, we do it this year, or the next 3 years we're in the lottery once again. Because look, I love the Jets. I love their fans. I love the passion that their fan base has. This is not good. New York Jets fans, this is not good. You need to mortgage the entire future. You need to take the house, take all the bills, all the money that you have, the savings account, the kids' college fund, and you need to put it on black and hope that it hits and you get your return back. Because if not, that will be tough. That will be tough. The Jets' defense is doing everything they possibly can. I mean, Sam Darnold had a stinker of a game, an absolute stinker, but the Vikings still won. I'm not putting it all on Aaron Rodgers being bad. You know why Aaron Rodgers looked a little bad? Brian Flores has these guys balling. Van Ginkel, one of the top additions of the offseason. Iowa legend, by the way. You guys know, if I see someone from Iowa, I'm going to shout him out. Shout out Van Ginkel. But let's be real, man. This defense looks terrifying. This Vikings defense looks scary. I'm thinking of every single time I saw a lapse, and the only time I really saw a lapse from the Vikings defense was the second half against the Green Bay Packers. And that's against Matt LaFleur, one of the best offensive coaches in the league. They dominated Shanahan. Granted, some people were out, but it's not easy to dominate a Shanahan offense unless you're down 25 points in the Super Bowl. I had to say it. You know, I gave myself a little bit of an opportunity there. But the Vikings look good. Jets need to mortgage something in the future, and the Vikings are going into a bye week, which is very good for Aaron Jones because he got banged up in that game. I know I'm a Packers fan, but I like football too. I understand. The Vikings, they're scary. They're legit. If your quarterback can throw for 171, I think it is, and have an absolute stinker of a ball game and you still win, especially in Britain, yeah, man. He's legit. Moving on to the next game on the slate, you had the Bears absolutely stomping on the Panthers 36-10 in the game that Caleb Williams desperately needed. Look, I understand all the hype around rookie quarterbacks is going to Jaden Daniels, and rightfully so. He's been balling. But Caleb Williams has desperately needed a game like this. Sure, was it against the league's worst team? Yeah. Yeah, I know. Okay, the Jaguars, no. The Browns, no. It's the Panthers. Let's be real here. It's the Panthers. 36-10. And I'm going to say something that it hurts me to say. The Bears can figure it out, man. DeAndre Swift is starting to look a lot better. Caleb Williams is putting together the pieces. DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Keenan Allen. Cole Kmet's starting to get involved. The O-line's looking a little bit better. Granted, it's against the Panthers. I'm not trying to hate on the Bears, but I am trying to keep it real. They might have something here. The NFC North is by far and away the best division in football. Going into the season, if you would have told someone that, they probably would have been like, okay, but what about the AFC North? Perhaps the NFC West? It's the NFC North. Pretty comfortably, honestly. The Bears look fantastic. One thing that I do want to note, Bryce Young came in and made a couple throws that look good. Now, I understand a lot of people are out on Bryce Young. He's done. But if you look around the league, how many quarterbacks have been quit on that have came back and started absolutely hooping? Sam Darnold, Geno Smith. Heck, people quit on Jordan Love before he even got feet in Wisconsin, man. It's not the end for that guy. I don't understand why people are so quick to throw out a quarterback, especially when he's drafted to an organization like the Panthers. But Caleb Williams, adjusting to the NFL. One thing that I think he needs to work on, though, and I know, a Division II walk-on who never played an actual real snap of offensive football is going to tell you what a quarterback in the NFL should work on. I understand how that sounds. He needs to trust his O-line a little bit more. I know it's rough because Weeks past, his O-line has been horrible and let him get hit like crazy. Sometimes he gets a little antsy in the pocket. He's like, yo, there's a little too much time. And he then creates pressure for himself. And that's crazy. And that's the thing, because at USC, he would be able to just get around, go, go, go. Some of the guys that he was playing didn't have the motor. If you don't have a motor in the NFL, you're not going to be in the NFL. You have pass rushers who will not give up. And when you're jittery and you're moving around the pocket, it's tougher for the O-line to know, hey, where am I supposed to force this guy? Because they are trying to create a pocket, a little circle that Caleb Williams can sit in. Anyways, like I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted by a very important phone call, a.k.a. a text message from my friend to come play 2K since I am unemployed. They want to know, hey, our quarterback is here in this circle. Everyone else that comes in, we are pushing them away from this circle. It's like Call of Duty when you're on headquarters or domination or something. You want to be in that circle, and you don't want anyone else to get in the circle. That's one thing that he needs to work on, but guess what? He now has film of himself hooping. He now has confidence. That is a very big deal, especially with a defense as good as the Bears, and especially with Shane Waldron looking a little bit better as an OC. That's a huge thing. Maybe he can now trust Caleb Williams more. Maybe he didn't trust him. There's a lot of different things that happen in an NFL team, a football team in general, about relationships. Do you trust this guy? Does he trust this guy? Does he trust this receiver? Does that O-lineman trust this O-lineman, that they will be on the same exact page when they're trying to slide in protection? Do they know each other? That is all things that need to be taken into account, and I feel like the Bears are finally understanding that, but granted, it was against the Panthers. I would like to see it for another week. Moving on to the next game, you had the Commanders against the Browns, and I'm going to make my claim that it is the Browns and the Panthers, 1A and 1B for the worst team in the league. I know I just said Panthers are the worst team in the league, but the Browns are just, I don't know what they are. I don't know what they are. And that pains me to say, because I was rooting for him when Baker was there. Deshaun Watson came in and I said, you know what, I don't really like the Browns anymore. They had a defense loaded up. It was looking like they'd be good this year, right? Deshaun Watson's finally healthy. His shoulders is coming back. Maybe we get Deshaun Watson of old. No, that's not the case. Stefanski coming off Coach of the Year. Joe Flacco made that offense look good. We'll get to him in a little bit, too. It's not good. It's not good for the Browns. I wish I could say something positive. The only positive is, hey, your guys are going to have a high draft pick. You can't sit Deshaun Watson. I think they shouldn't let Jameis go, because at least Jameis is going to take some shots down the field that you're like, okay, nice. The Browns just don't have it. I mean, Nick Chubb is coming back. That's going to help. But if I'm Nick Chubb, I'm like, get me out of here. Get me out of here. They're wasting my last chance at winning. That's all I got to say about the Browns. But for the Commanders, man, they look scary. They look like a playoff team. Jaden Daniels looks like an NFL vet. However, it's only through 5 weeks. I'm not going to make the claim that he's the next star quarterback in the league like Mahomes, Allen tier. Not yet. I think he's on the trajectory, but I'm not going to say it yet because a lot of things can change. One thing that I do want to see from the Commanders is how will they handle interior pressure. If you remember against the Giants, they should have lost the game against the Giants. The only reason they didn't lose the game is because the Giants don't have a kicker, which also happened to the 49ers, which is very weird that this has happened multiple times in an NFL season. You would think that they would make a rule to circumvent that, like, hey, maybe we should make it so you can have 2 kickers on the roster or something, or like an emergency kicker or something like that. Like maybe have a kicker who's like the equipment manager as well, and then just have him suit up if something goes wrong. I don't know. Back to the Commanders. Cliff Kingsbury has his offense buzzing. Jaden Daniels, one thing I absolutely love about him is when he scrambles around, he's not scrambling aimlessly. Either he's running the ball or he's throwing it. He's not panicking. If he sees daylight, he's putting his foot in the ground and getting 5 yards. He's not taking crazy hits. He's not making awful throws. In fact, he's making very good throws, 55 yards across the body into the breadbasket. Stuff that you can't teach. You can't teach that stuff, which is very, very good, very promising. All I want to see is, one, when the temperature drops and we get into championship football weather, I'm talking 20 degrees, freezing rain, snow on the ground. I mean, you got a sniffle. You got a cold. The team has a little bit of that flu virus to it. Everyone's a little sick. You're considering peeing on yourself to keep yourself warm. That weather, if you're from the Midwest or the Northeast, you know what I'm talking about. That is when championship football is won. Running the ball, playing good defense. The Commanders' defense did look good. However, it was against the Browns. They looked good against the Cardinals, though. The only thing I want to see is, one, how will they handle the Eagles and the Giants? Again, because once again, those are very good interior pressure offenses. And two, can they run the ball when they need to with their running backs? I understand Jaden Daniels. Maybe you don't need to. Maybe they don't need to. And if so, that would be awesome. But when you need to just completely punch a game and be like, you know what? We can't throw. It's too windy. It's too freezing rain. It's too cold. It's too whatever. Can you dominate the line of scrimmage and win the football game? That's the one thing I want to see from the Commanders. Because I'm just going to be honest right here. I want the Commanders to be the team out of the NFC East. My personal opinion. I have a friend that plays on the Commanders. I would love to see him in the playoffs. I would fly out to whatever game he is at, and provided it's not against the Packers, I will cheer for him. That's what I want to see. That's just, I know everyone's going to be like, oh, you don't think the Commanders are legit? I think the Commanders are legit. I just want to see them be able to win in that championship football weather when it's cold. Because if you remember, last year, a lot of people were high on the Miami Dolphins, myself included. They were actually the team I thought was going to win the Super Bowl last year. I probably shouldn't have said that. Not even Batman could have gotten that information out of me, but I thought I should say it, you know? But yeah, they were hooping all year. Couple of injuries happened. Obviously, you know, Jaden Daniels is a different skill set than Tua. They went into a snowy, cold Kansas City, and it just wasn't good. You look at Kansas City. Their defense was good, and Pacheco ran the ball. Mahomes could get out and scramble when he needed to. Mahomes wasn't out here playing the most insane football you've ever seen in your life. No, he was giving it to the running back, to the tight ends. Sure, Rashee Rice got a little bit in there. Sure, you had some guys getting some balls in there. Pause. I knew I was going to say that at one point in the podcast. 19 minutes in is kind of a new record for me. Maybe we can make this a weekly thing. I don't know. That's one thing I want to see. Can you dominate the line of scrimmage? And can you choke out a ball game and end it? Moving on to the Dolphins-Patriots. I'm not going to lie, I didn't watch a lot of this one. I didn't want to. My fantasy running back was Devon Achane. When he got hurt, I got mad and I turned off the Dolphins-Patriots game. I went to Red Zone after that. One of those games, it's better seen on Red Zone. Hey, is someone going to score? Okay. One thing I will say is that I think the NFL should change the rule. If you guys saw that last Jalen Polk catch, it should be a touchdown. It's like, how are you going to punish a guy for wearing much larger cleats to the point where he knows that he has to get his toes in bounds, but the ball's here, he can't turn around? I think that rule needs to be changed. I understand there's a lot of rules protecting the offense, but that one is just tough. Because physically, with the human anatomy, you can't change that, but he still made a great play, and just because a foot is the wrong way, that's it, I just don't like that. I just don't like it. Patriots, they just came out today and said that Drake May is probably going to start. I'm a little happy to see it, but I'm also very scared for Drake May. I'm terrified for Drake May. I'm not even scared. I am terrified. Remember, he played against the Jets? Looked okay, but he also took like 7 hits. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but that's a lot of hits to take, man. Especially for Drake May. Especially for a rookie quarterback. Remember, that confidence can be shaken. We saw it with Bryce Young. We've seen it with a lot of rookie quarterbacks. Confidence can be shaken, especially on a team like the Patriots. You are expected to come in and win. He is expected to be the savior of this franchise. Who knows what his mental will be like if he starts losing games and getting clobbered. Speaking of a high draft pick that hasn't been up to expectations, we move on to the Colts and the Jaguars. This is one of my favorite games of the weekend. Joe Flacco will always have a soft spot in my heart. FCS guy, Super Bowl winner. Just an all-around great guy. Old man. He's like that. He's like the pair of shoes that you keep by the door when you have to take out the garbage. You know, they're not the shoes that you're going to step out in. They're not the shoes that won't really go out to clubs or party or anything. But if you were to do that, I'd assume you'd take some nice shoes to show off your status. Joe Flacco isn't that. But he's the type of shoes that when you need to get a job done fast, without planning, you just need to get it done, you slip on those shoes that are kind of grimy, that have seen better days, that honestly they probably should be going out with the trash to get thrown away. Joe Flacco's that guy. He is that guy that you just put in there, you plug him in, and he balls out. The Jaguars were not expecting this. A lot of people in the NFL were expecting him to play good, not how he was playing. Jaguars survived. But man, oh man, I'm going to tune into Colts games because Joe Flacco can still sling the rock. People don't understand that while NFL defenses are still good, yes, this is a man who had to look across in practice some days and see Ed Reed and Ray Lewis. He had to go on the road in a divisional and see Troy Polamalu, James Harrison. Like, they don't strike fear in a Joe Flacco. He is one of the last Iron Man quarterbacks who would get their head spun around, or like Matt Schaub, get their ear blown off by a sack and have to get up and keep cooking. And the thing is, Joe Flacco did all of this. He didn't really have that big-time receiver who just destroyed everyone. He didn't have a top 5 receiver in the league. He didn't have a Randy Moss. He didn't have a Calvin Johnson. He didn't have a Jordy Nelson. I had to toss him in there. Joe Flacco didn't have that, but what he did have is a great understanding of NFL offenses and a great understanding of how to manipulate NFL defenses, and you saw that on display. Going over to Jacksonville, a lot of people are talking about Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, Brock Bowers, these receiving threats. You guys need to sit down and watch Brian Thomas Jr. Fast, physical, hands. He has everything that you need. I understand Malik Neighbors is probably the receiver one from this class, but he's also getting the ball a lot. Brian Thomas Jr. is a home run hitter, 85-yard touchdown. I understand this is going to sound crazy. He kind of reminds me of Jamar Chase. I'm not saying he is Jamar Chase, but when he's playing at his best, it's like I see another version of Jamar Chase. Not as good, but still very, very good. People were not expecting this out of him. I was, because if I see an LSU receiver, I'm throwing everything I have to get that LSU receiver. I don't know what that accent was, but I'm doing it. Every single thing I can throw at you. I'm turning trade difficulty to easy, and I'm getting an LSU receiver. Jaguars finally win one, but let's be real. They got into a dogfight with the Colts. They almost let them come back and win. Not exactly what you want to see for a convincing win. It was a win. Don't get me wrong. Not exactly convincing. Not exactly convincing. Moving on to the Bills and the Texans, man. Sean McDermott needs to be fired. If you would have told me I would be saying that right now before the season and the Bills have a winning record, I'd be like, did he do something in the legal world that is bad? Is he about to get thrown in prison? No, he isn't. But what I witnessed on that last Buffalo Bills drive, if you want to call it a drive, is you were inside your own 10 with a quarterback who, honestly, I don't think Josh Allen should have been let back out on that field after the hit he took to his head on the turf. And you throw it 3 straight times. You don't run the clock. You throw it 3 straight times. I get once. I get even twice. But to throw it 3 straight times, give the Texans the ball and let them kick a game winner in your face, especially when you have a chance to take a commanding lead of your division. They're still number 1 in the division, but only by 1 game. That doesn't mean a lot, especially in week 5. You don't do it. You throw 3 passes, Texans get the ball back, and they win the game. The Bills got a gift from the Texans. Why were the Texans throwing the ball? It was literally, you have the game. No, you have the game. No, I want you to have it. No, you have it. And the Bills just gave it right back to them. Why? You don't need to do that. You have James Cook. Maybe he didn't want to run Josh Allen. because he was scared about his head. If you're scared about his head and you're running him, then why is he in the game? Why is he in the game? I understand a lot of people are a little macho for player safety. I don't understand why, but they are. That's all I got to say for the Bills. For the Texans, Nico Collins is the number one receiver in the league right now. He's big, he's fast, he's strong, he's physical. He's a dog. C.J. Stroud, getting in stride. He's a dog. Cam Akers looks good. Texans look decent, man. They shouldn't have won that game, but they look decent. I mean, Josh Allen had a horrible game. Even before he got his head hit. He had a really bad game. He played awful. Texans look good. I don't know what DeMeco Ryans was thinking on that second to last drive. Sometimes there is such a thing as being too aggressive. Even though I love it when coaches go for it on fourth down, even though I love it when you throw a deep shot to seal the game, there is such a thing as going with the flow. Who cares about analytics? I understand the analytics would tell you to go for it. The analytics are robots. You don't want a robot as a head coach. You want a robot that understands, hey, look, we have one of the best quarterbacks in the league. We should go for it. Or we have one of the best rushing attacks in the league, and we have a good defense. Let's take this to overtime and win it there. I don't know, man. Just that game left a sour, sour taste in my mouth, and I'm not even a Bills fan. Speaking of games that went to overtime, we have the Ravens and the Bengals in an absolute shootout. Speaking of awful game management, Bengals, how do you lose this? You were up 2 scores for a majority of the fourth. The Ravens would come down and they would answer right away. The Ravens would have this slow, methodical drive after the Bengals would score. The Bengals would get the ball back. Boom, 75 yards. Touchdown, 1 play. Jamar Chase, and they just kept letting the Ravens hang around. And you're up 3 after a insane play by Lamar Jackson. Pick up a fumble, throw the pass rusher off you across your body for a touchdown. 9 out of 10 times, that play is not working. The other 1 out of 10 times, you have Lamar Jackson. But the Bengals get the ball, and I understand Zach Moss got hurt. And they throw a pick. They throw the ball. Chase Brown is not that bad. Jamar Chase is not that bad. You can throw him a jet pass. You can hand off a reverse. You can line him up in the backfield and toss him a pitch. Every top receiver in the league, Tyreek, CeeDee, Justin Jefferson, they line up in the backfield. Dude, CeeDee Lamb is getting handoffs like crazy. Jaden Reed gets handoffs. All these things, top guys on their team get the handoffs. The Bengals just don't do it. And you get down to where you need to run the clock out, and you throw a pick. You throw the ball. It makes no sense to me because the Ravens got the ball back. They went to overtime, right? Once again, you never want to be the team that just got came back on, pause. You don't want to be the team that just let another team in going into overtime. Ravens got the ball, right? They're moving. They fumble the ball. The Bengals get it. And now, when you should be advancing the ball, you got too scared to advance the ball because you threw an interception, run 3 straight run plays, miss a field goal. I don't understand what Zach Taylor is doing. Him and Sean McDermott should probably be fired. I understand. I don't want to make a big negative thing out of this podcast, right? I don't want to be a negative guy. There's way too much of that in the sports space, which is why I started this podcast and why I'm going to start my media company and all that, right? I understand that. That's not what I'm trying to see. I'm trying to be objective and tell you what I see through my eyes. On one hand, I see a guy who is too aggressive. And on another hand, I see a guy who got too aggressive, that he got too scared to get back into being aggressive when he needed to be aggressive. Do you not want to run the ball, or do you want to run the ball? You have to make that decision, Zach Taylor. And on top of that, You throw your players under the bus when your players are taking accountability. You never want to be the odd one out, Mr. Head Coach. You're supposed to inspire this whole locker room. You scored 38 points and lost. And it's on you. It's not on your defense. It's not on your offense. It is solely on the head coach who got too scared to take a shot, ran 3 straight plays, and had his kicker kick a 50-yarder. Sure, usually he makes that. Guess what? Usually he does. He doesn't always do it. Give the ball back to the Ravens. King Henry rips one off, and then you get one of the best kickers in the league to hit a 24-yard chip shot. Yes, he hasn't been that good this year, but he still is Justin Tucker, dude. Unreal. Absolutely unreal what we witnessed from Zach Taylor on Sunday. Instant classic, though. Great game. Oh, my gosh. I made like a 4-minute yap about it on TikTok, if you want to check that out. Anyways, moving into an AFC West showdown, the Raiders and the Broncos. First of all, shout out Riley Moss, Iowa legend, for getting a pick. That's the first cornerback. It's huge. It's huge for the city. Everyone thought it was going to be Cooper DeJean. If you know what I'm saying, you know. Everyone thought it was going to be Cooper DeJean, but here comes Riley Moss. Sneaky athletic. Plays the game the right way. Broncos are looking better and better. Granted, it was against the Raiders, who their head coach is liking stuff on Instagram about not having a player on the franchise. It's unreal. It's unreal. But back to it. Broncos, they're just that team that finds a way. It's not going to be a sexy win. It's not going to be a win where you're like, yeah, dude, that was fun to watch. It's clunky. It's crazy. But they find a way. And that's all you need to do is find a way to win. Raiders, trade Devontae, trade Max Crosby, completely restart. Completely restart, dude. I feel bad for those guys. Because, one, you have reporters lying about Max Crosby, which I thought was crazy enough. That if you want, in this day and age, if you want to know what's going on with the player, how about you go talk to the player? I don't know. They don't do that. Broncos, Bo Nix, looks good. Defense, Pat Surtain, pick 6, looks fantastic. They're scary. They are a team that match up very, very well with another team in their division who might be going for their 3rd Super Bowl. I don't know. They look pretty good. Sean Payton, Bo Nix got into it on the sideline. Everyone's saying, how dare they? Dude, that's football. That is football. People yell at the coaches yell at the players, and it's all coming out of a place of one thing. Everybody wants to win the football game. If you have a quarterback or you have a person on your team that isn't getting yelled at every time they mess up, that coach has given up on them. Last year, they gave up on Russell Wilson. They shouldn't have, but they did. And you saw how it changed. Bo Nix is going to fight for what he wants to do. Sean Payton is going to fight back for what he wants to do. And the two are going to meet in the middle, and they are going to bond. How many times have you seen head coaches and their quarterbacks yell at each other? A lot. A lot. You see head coaches yell at their players. Players yell back at the coaches. Very rarely is it something that breaks up a team. Usually it brings a team closer together. That's happened every single level of football I've played. Now, I wasn't a great player, but I love the game and, all that jazz. But that's all I'm saying. Moving on to another divisional matchup. You had the Cardinals against the 49ers where they shocked the 49ers 24-23. Now look, that's what happens when the NFL doesn't allow an emergency kicker. Yes, credit to the Cardinals. The 49ers would have won this game if they had a kicker. That's just the facts because they had to go for it a couple times. Cardinals. James Conner is once again proving he is a very underrated running back. The Cardinals are a very underrated team. Kyler Murray, very underrated quarterback. Brock Purdy is looking better and better. I understand the 49ers are 2-3. His weapons haven't been there. But he's been playing decent. Everyone's going to hate on him for that last pick. He didn't get the ball out fast enough. An untouched blitzer doesn't get picked up. You know what people would say if he threw the ball too fast and got picked? Oh, he's not patient. Everyone's going to hate on a quarterback, dude. It's ridiculous. People will do in this industry whatever strengthens their agenda. My agenda used to be I didn't think Brock Purdy was good enough. Having watched him at Iowa State, I knew that he was going to be an NFL starting level caliber quarterback, but I thought that his weapons made him. Turns out, he elevates everyone around him. That's what you want in the quarterback. 49ers, I just don't know. I don't know what you're going to get from them. Are people going to be healthy enough to continue? That's the very real question that you need to know. Are people going to be healthy enough to win games? Christian McCaffrey, they're saying, is going to be back in November, coming off of both Achilles being, I don't even know, tendonitis, whatever. I don't have confidence in that. I'm not a doctor. They said it was going to be a week injury, and now it's going to be November, and who knows, when we get to November, maybe he's out for the season. I hope not, but, I mean, you don't know what's going to happen. Niners, I understand everyone's pressing the panic button. I think they're going to be fine. I think they're going to be okay. They always somehow find a way. It's just interesting. I feel bad for them. Cardinals. Don't count them out yet, man. They're a good football team. They're a very good football team. Moving on to another NFC West division participant, you had the Seahawks losing to the Giants. Bet you saw that one coming, didn't you guys? Daniel Jones, I will say it again, is an NFL starting quarterback. He is. If you watched that game and thought anything different, I don't know what to tell you. You are too blinded by your hatred of Daniel Jones. His consistency lacks. That is true. But when he is the guy that you see yesterday, he is a good NFL quarterback. Darius Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson, no Singletary, no Neighbors. And he still went out there and won against the Seahawks. Understand the Seahawks are banged up. Tariq Woolen and Devin Witherspoon were playing. Tariq Woolen got hurt, I understand. They were looked at as one of the top backfields in the NFL, and they got absolutely dismantled. This game was not close. Did it come down to the wire? Yes. Why did it come down to the wire? They fumbled on the goal line, and Seattle returned it for a 100-yard touchdown. This easily should have been a 2-score win for the Giants. The Giants are a couple plays away from being 4-1. Having a kicker against Washington and then not collapsing or dropping the ball 7 times against the Cowboys. Tyrone Tracy Jr. I'm a beat my chest on that one. I knew that one was coming. Iowa guys in the league, man, they find a way. Sure, he went to Purdue for a couple of years because we waste talent at Iowa on offense if you're not a tight end or an O-lineman. Even a running back. Tyler Goodson, he balled out for the Colts. Seahawks will be fine. They will be fine. Geno Smith is playing like a top 10 quarterback in the league right now. I think top 5. But look, man, I'm not going to be the guy who's like, my top 5 is right and yours is wrong. We all like different things in a quarterback. We all have different orders when we go through McDonald's. We all have different tastes when it comes to music. Why would we be any different when it comes to quarterbacks? I hate when people are like, oh, your top 5 is wrong and mine is right. No, your top 5 is your top 5. My top 5 is my top 5. Unless it's crazy and egregious, I don't really care. Sure, I'll debate you on it. I'll talk about it with you. But I'm not going to be like, oh, you don't know ball because this, and that. No, that's not how it works. Giants 29, Seahawks 20. Giants, they might have a chance. Dexter Lawrence is a dog. He is a dog. I'm sorry. Sexy Dexy. I am so happy to see that guy getting some love, man. I'm happy to see the Giants winning. I'm happy to see Daniel Jones being good. Because my Daniel Jones agenda is going through the roof, man. I love it. I love it. Now, moving on to the Packers game. Let me just... I thought I had my Packers hat in here. I'm sorry. I don't. Jordan Love. Where do I begin? This man is the epitome of a gunslinger. He will make a throw that you will look at and be like, how did he make that throw? How did it get there? How did he possibly have the stones to stand in there and deliver that? Then he will make a throw where you are like, what did he see there? Threw a 65-yard beauty to Jaden Reed in the bucket over 3 people. It was so beautiful. Then he went back and he threw a pick 6 while perpendicular, actually parallel to the ground in our own end zone. Yes, I can say I technically am an owner of the Packers. But here's the thing. Everyone's going to be like, oh, that throw was bad. I don't look at the throws. I look at what happens after the throws. And what I saw was him play phenomenally after the throws. Thanks in part to Matt LaFleur's offense. Tucker Kraft was absolutely wide open. He got the ball into his hands and he went. Also, Packers have had a drop issue. Dontavian Wicks, I love his game. His separation is insane. He looks like a young Devontae Adams. But he's dropping the ball a lot. But you know who else dropped the ball a lot? Devontae Adams. He actually used to have a nickname, Drop Vontae. I think that's going to be gone. I think Dontavian Wicks will continue getting better. He just needs to get the little jitters out, you know? He plays good when he's underrated. When he's overrated, he plays bad. He needs to just find that consistency, you know? That's what separates the top guys. Consistent, great output. Speaking of consistent, great output, Jaden Reed. I'll say it, he's one of the best receivers in the league. Multi-tool guy. He can run. He can catch. He can block. He's scary. But I don't want to make this big. Look at the Packers and how much I like them and blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to make it that. Going over to the Rams, they fought. Say what you want. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua are out. The Rams fight. Sean McVay has these guys fighting. Sure, they're 1-4. It doesn't look good for them to make the playoffs, but they are fighting hard. They could have easily, after losing Puka and losing Cooper Kupp, been like, you know what? I'm done with this season. I'm done. You know, I just don't want to play anymore. We had a good last year, and we can be bad, and everyone can be like, what if? But Sean McVay has these guys playing great. It's not enough, but it's great. Fisk, Verse, their D-line is playing great. Their defense isn't being that bad either. Sure, they're not the greatest, but week to week they're getting improved. The Rams have a lot of ballers on the offense. I've been a big fan of Jordan Whittington. This dude is a dog. When Puka and Cooper Kupp get healthy, especially if they come off of IR, not Cooper, he wasn't on IR, but Puka, you will have a back stretch of the season with Matthew Stafford, Kyron Williams, dog, 8 straight touchdowns in 8 straight games, dog, that's dog stuff. And you will have healthy receivers with Sean McVay. It's unreal, dude. It's unreal. I think that they can make a run. It needs to be sooner. They need to make something shake soon. But I think they could do it, man. I really do. Moving on to the final game of the night. A game that didn't end till 1 a.m. Pittsburgh time. Yeah, I know it's Eastern Standard, but it was at Heinz Field. I think it's Heinz Field. I'm not even sure. It's at Pittsburgh. Steelers and the Cowboys. Started about 2 hours later than expected. I was up for the entirety of it. Gonna be real. The ending of that game was cinema. Everyone was on social media trashing on Dak Prescott. You guys know I live tweet during games and stuff. I mean, who doesn't? Dak Prescott was getting torn apart all game. He threw bad picks. He'd move the offense all the way down and then sell. Or a kick would get blocked. Everyone would be like, I don't think he can do it. All that went out the window when you saw that game-winning drive. For me. And the thing is, CeeDee Lamb did not really get the ball second half. But the Cowboys still found a way. Steelers' defense was balling. Justin Fields didn't look great. He didn't look horrible. One thing about the Steelers, though, is I don't understand what's going on with George Pickens. He didn't get a lot of snaps. And he can't really control his emotions on the field. I mean, can you have him out there? 15-yarders absolutely destroy a drive. Now, everyone's talking about, oh my gosh, he ripped someone down by the mouthpiece after the game was over. I would do the same thing. I would hope I wouldn't, but I probably would if someone just won the game and their first action was to come and taunt me. I'm just keeping it a buck. If you come and taunt me to my face after we lose, you're getting your mouthpiece snatched, man. I don't know what else to say. But he was pretty much a non-factor. George Pickens was, which stinks. He's very, very talented. He has some of the best hands in the league, in my opinion. But I don't understand what's going on behind closed doors. I'm not going to speculate what's going on behind closed doors. All I can say is I hope everything is okay, and I hope it gets settled. I'm not going to sow discourse. I'm not going to try to be the guy who guesses everything right and be like, hey, I was right, everybody. I was right, hand up. It was me, it was me. That's not the purpose of this. I just hope he's doing all right. And I hope the Steelers figure it out because they're a fun team to watch, in my opinion. Their offense can be fun. Their defense is fun. TJ Watt, Fred Warner. We are having a fantastic Defensive Player of the Year race. TJ Watt, Fred Warner, Dexter Lawrence, Xavier McKinney, Aiden Hutchinson, Patrick Surtain got a pick 6. Who knows? Maybe he has a Deron Bland type season. Probably not because they don't throw at him as much, but who knows? Cowboys win, last second touchdown, 4th and goal, 20-17. Play of the game, in my opinion, was Dak Prescott jumping on that fumble. Now, I understand. It sounds a little weird. Dak Prescott jumping on that fumble. What an old head thing to say. That shows that he's about winning the game. Because there are some quarterbacks in the NFL history that have not jumped on fumbles. Now, I don't have any particular one in mind, but sometimes they don't have the presence of mind to jump on the fumble. They're watching the play. They're not really locked in. They're like, okay, it's a handoff. It's out of my hands. He was watching that play, got on the ball, and gave them a chance. After going for the end zone, getting stopped short at the 1-yard line. It's winning football. Without Micah Parsons, on the road against a team who is top of their division. It's good stuff, man. Now, moving on to the Monday Night Football game. We have the Saints versus the Chiefs. What do I think is going to happen in this one? I have no idea. Not going to be the guy who tells you I know exactly what's going to happen. What version of Patrick Mahomes will we see? He has been lackluster to start the season. I'm just going to be quite frank. He has not been good to start the season. Rashee Rice is out. Xavier Worthy needs to step up. Juju Smith-Schuster might get a few touches. Travis Kelce is going to get a few touches. Carson Steele. Maybe he runs the ball. Saints. You had a slide. You started out looking like you were fantastic, best team in the league. And now you have slid. You have dropped 2 straight games. Granted, they were close. But you now face a team coming off of back-to-back Super Bowl appearances with one of the greatest head coaches of all time in Andy Reid. All time. Yeah. Offensive coaches of all time. Let me just say that. And you need to show that you are legit. You need to show that you are a legit contender to go to the playoffs. Because the way it's looking, it looks like the NFC South is the Falcons division. It's looking like the offense for the Saints is exactly what we all thought it was. First 2 weeks were good. Next 2 weeks, not so much. I want to see the Saints throw the ball. We know how good Alvin Kamara is. Shaheed started out good. Hasn't been that good recently. Chris Olave, where's he at? Derek Carr, you look good, now you don't look good. What kind of team are the Saints? Are they the team that is firing on all cylinders, blowing everyone out? They're fun to watch. Or are they the team that's grind it out, hope we get a win? Grind it out, hope we get a win. Please, let's get a win. I don't want to lose this game. Chiefs, they find a way to get it done. Obviously, they're undefeated. They find ways to get it done. They're a championship football team. It's in their DNA. It's in their culture. Can they have a convincing win? There has not been one Chiefs win that I looked at and said, you know what? Yeah, the Chiefs are definitely going for a 3rd Super Bowl. Sure, yeah, they're 4-0, but every single game, you look at the Ravens, went down to the last play. You look at the Bengals, defensive pass interference. I'm blanking on the other two. I'm just going to be honest. Oh, go down to the Falcons. Pass interference. That wasn't called. All of this, there's always these little question marks of this is why the Chiefs won. They barely won because of this. Chiefs need Patrick Mahomes to come out, put his foot to the gas. Probably shouldn't say that for the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes to come out and just end it. Say, you know, I am Patrick Mahomes. I am Patrick Mahomes. I am the best quarterback in this league. No one else can touch me. I'm going to win my third straight Super Bowl. I'm an MVP candidate. Let's rock. That's what they need. I understand his number one receiver's out. I understand his number one running back's out. Doesn't matter. Does not matter. What is Patrick Mahomes going to do tonight? That's exactly what I want to see. That will do it for the first ever Lunchtable Sports Podcast episode. I understand. Maybe I got 10 viewers. Maybe I got 10 listeners. Even if I have one, even if it fits myself, I hopefully will be able to continue doing this because I really, really like doing it. Thank you guys for tuning in. Have a great day or night whenever you're watching / listening / doing homework to, walking to, riding a bike to, driving a car to. I appreciate you sincerely. And remember, the best thing I can tell you guys is this. Jesus loves you. Have a great day. And don't forget to like and sub to the Lunchtable Sports Podcast.